All right, let's go ahead and get rolling. It's 7:30, 7:31. I think I shared my screen at this point. So today I wanted to talk about certifications. Right, so we are recording this, so it'll be posted a little bit later. So if you have questions or you want to come back and review something, or if you have to drop off later, it's the recordings will be there. But kind of continuing the conversation from last week. Last week we talked about the different degree plans here at CNM, and we talked about how a lot of them are interrelated, and how getting or combining the skill sets would lead to better opportunities, things like that, and the fact that you can complete multiple degrees at the same time and go after different certifications, right? And they're all kind of based on different types of skill sets. So, we have a networking degree, we have a systems admin degree, we have programming degrees, and then even in the programming, we have regular programming, kind of computer programming, and then we have web programming. And then in the system admin side, we have a system admin side, plus we have a custom computer support, right? More of the hands-on, so they're kind of two different. It's the same space, but they're two different focuses. So one of the things that comes from educating and learning about IT is, and you'll figure this out rather quickly, is that in the IT world, there is this, especially in the world that I play in, right? The system admin, network admin, the computer support, the architect side, the engineering side of the house, that all of those have, there are lots of different industry certification opportunities for you out there. And a lot of our hiring processes are driven by certification, basically making certification requirements for getting a job. And I want to kind of dive into some of that today and kind of talk about some of the certifications that are out there. On the programming side, I am not as familiar with whatever certs are available on the programming side. There's not usually a lot of certs. I know there are some out there. I don't know that they play a significant role in the coding side of IT. As far as, I'm a Python expert or whatever. Usually in the programming side of the house, you have code that you can put together as a portfolio to show your level of skill. Whereas, if I tell you I'm a system admin, like there's no way for me to really tell you, show you my skills. I don't really put together a portfolio of all the servers that I've built and configured and that kind of thing. So we use certifications as the bar, right? As the, here's the minimum bar that we're going to accept as far as an employee coming in, say in a Comptia A+ or Net Plus or whatever the case may be. So we use those a lot in the IT world. Okay, so that's kind of the thoughts for today. I just really wanted to kind of cover what that's all about, and give you a heads up. And obviously you're welcome to ask questions as we go along. If something comes up and you're not sure, or you want more clarification, we can kind of dive into that. What I did want to start with is I found earlier, as I was kind of launching some websites to talk about this. So this is Cisco, right? So Cisco is the largest networking company in the world, right? They build routers and switches and wireless access points, and obviously they do a ton more than that. But those are the big three things that they're known for. In fact, you cannot connect to the internet without your data going across a Cisco device. It's just not possible for that to happen. So I wanted to, we'll start there. As far as they have a really neat website as far as their certifications are concerned. So in the Cisco world, and this is typical Cisco, right? It's not pretty. We're just going to put a chart out here. And that's typically what Cisco does. They're pretty straightforward as far as that's concerned, but they have, and you're going to see this kind of happen along with pretty much any kind of certification body that we look at, right? Any, Comptia, EC Council, AWS, at Microsoft, all of them, they all have kind of an entry level. They usually have an associate level, professional level, expert level, and sometimes the professional and expert are combined. So there's usually only 3 levels. With Cisco, they've got them broken into these 4 levels: entry level, associate level, professional level, expert level. Okay. So if you're in the networking degree, right, if you're taking the networking degree, you are actually working on an associate level certification. So Cisco 1, 2, and 3 classes, those 3 classes, the information in those classes combine to give you what is considered the CCNA, which is kind of the de facto standard for networking certifications worldwide, right? When you say you have a CCNA, any IT department in any company in any country in the world will know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. So obtaining that certification, if you're going into the networking field, is like the first stepping stone that you really need to have. Okay. There are entry level ones, right? So there, Cisco owns WebEx, so they have a collaboration certification. They own some other software as well. But they build data, they're big on the data center side because of their equipment. And then they have this routing and switching. So they have these CCTs, right, these little entry level certifications just to get you started. And I think I always have looked at those entry level certifications as an easy way to kind of get yourself into the mode of learning and studying and practicing and taking an exam before moving on to, a more skilled exam like the CCNA. So CCT, routing and switching, then it goes to CCNA. And then as you get into the professional level, so beyond school, right? So most 2-year colleges will stop right about here, right? So I have seen some that have programs that have CCNP programs, and they essentially have stripped away any kind of gen ed stuff in order to get it completed in a 2-year period of time. But CCNP, so they've got different flavors. Like there's a data center one, a collaboration one, enterprise security. So if we just stick on the enterprise side, because that's where CCNA sits, the CCNA or the CCNP enterprise is kind of that next level, right? So that's gonna expand your knowledge. It's gonna there's gonna be I think there's 3 extra tests. They're much more difficult than the primary test, right? But those skill sets, as you move from entry level to expert level, your responsibilities increase, your pay increases, your opportunity to do really, I would say, fun and challenging things are made available as you move yourself through these certifications. Okay, and I don't want to get stuck in the muck of which certification and how and things. I just want to kind of talk about this concept of there's entry level, there's these associate level, and most of everything that we're doing here at CNM are going to be entry and associate level type things. And what I would say is those would be considered the foundational, like we're giving you the foundation that you need as a launching pad, first of all, to get a job in the IT, and then second of all, to then specialize as you move upwards, right? You can specialize into whatever's going on here. What I did find interesting about the Cisco website is if you scroll down, oh man, did I miss it already? No, here it is. They have a page here called Why Certify. Okay. And I really think like these 3 graphics really kind of get to the point of why I personally kind of push for certifications. Okay. I'm a big proponent of certifications. We have certifications embedded into our courses now because of a lot of the work that we've been doing over the last couple of years, and seeing this type of information out there and talking to employers and things like that. But the reason why I think these are important, right? So the first one, 99% of organizations surveyed use technical certifications to make hiring decisions, okay? And what that means that we can even go, and I pulled up Indeed earlier, and I just typed in Ccna, and I took out, I just said, I want to see what's available on Indeed, right? So if we're looking at Ccna jobs, this is network administration jobs, there's 15,922 or 972 jobs available that have Ccna usually as one of the requirements or in the description or something along those lines, right? So think about that, 16,000 jobs that just specifically Ccna. If I put in the word Comptia, which is a pretty, right, that's going to be quite a few different certs that are being included with that, right? I'm looking at 13,000 different jobs, okay? We do AWS now here. If we look at AWS, there's 164,000 jobs out there right now that talk about or have AWS in the name, right? So there's going to be, you know, everything from programmers to architects to sysops to DevOps. You know, there's going to be a wide variety of things. So as you figure out where you want to go, right, you can kind of start to narrow this down into a more focused search. I just wanted to real quickly kind of show you, like, we don't lack for positions out there in the world. So even if I say Comptia, and let's go with Albuquerque. Right. There's 46 jobs in town right now that have Comptia in their description. There's 46. Right. Right this second, right? So and this is kind of a constant thing. There's usually between 30 and 40 jobs all the time in Comptia, and that's within 25 miles. If I expand this out to 100, that'll pick up Santa Fe. Now there's 57 jobs available just with Comptia stuff. So we can kind of look at what this is and where you're at. I mean, like this right here, IT specialist, this seems like something one of our students coming out of here would probably be capable of taking on. Same thing here, right? I think this one here, this network engineer at this higher level, and I do want you to see that number, that's in Albuquerque, right? That's going to require you to have a little bit more experience, a little bit more skill. And what I say by a little bit more, right, we're probably talking 1 or 2 certifications beyond your degree and probably 3 or 4 years worth of experience. If we dig into that, I'm not sure, I haven't looked at it, but that would be my guess, right? You know, so those big numbers that you see on these charts, right? Those are obtainable, but it takes, you need some experience. You need some ability. This one looks like it does want a bachelor's degree. So when you get into the higher levels, these higher levels, they start to use, the industry uses certifications to make your hiring process, the hiring decisions. They also use degrees, right? Associate degrees, bachelor's degrees as hiring decisions. They use it to weed out, you know, when they get a pile of 100 people interested in a position, they want to get down to, say, the top 10. And that's how they'll weed out, that's not really the right term. The idea that they're gonna select a smaller set of folks to talk to based on criteria. And sometimes that criteria is arbitrary. Like when you look at some of these jobs, you're like, how is that relevant? But at this point, I think you're going to see that, and I've seen that forever, right? There's just like, why do you need to have a CISSP for an entry-level cybersecurity job when CISSP is a high-level security certification? So there are some folks, hiring folks out there where there's a disconnect between what's really needed and somebody trying to just put filters on it so that we get a smaller subset of folks applying. But 99% use certifications in the hiring process. Like you're like, good luck finding the 1% that doesn't, right? Most everybody uses some level of, you need a Comptia A+ or Net Plus, or you need this or that. You need something for them to even talk to you in the first place, right? Second one there, 91% of employers believe IT certifications are a reliable predictor of successful employee, right? It's not easy to get a certification, right? And I think from an employer's perspective, what you're seeing is that employers look at, say 10 resumes and 5 of them have certifications, and they're thinking to themselves, right? Those 5 people took the time and dedicated the effort to study and complete a certification, whereas these other 5 didn't do that, right? And if you're going to be hiring somebody, you're going to want somebody who's dedicated to increasing their own skill sets and proving that skill set, in this case, in our industry, by way of IT certifications, right? So something to think about. 91% believe that people with certifications are better employees, okay? 81% of employers associate IT certification holder with increased quality and value of work contribution. So I think these two kind of go hand in hand, right? So they think that you're going to be more successful, and they think that you're going to do a better job, right? If you come into if you have or hold certifications, okay? Whether that's true or not, obviously is not important, right? It's the employer's perception, and 81% of employers think that you're going to do a better job if you have a certification, okay? So 99% use them to hire you, right? And they use that because they believe that you're going to be a better employee, right? I think it's, and you can see this is only used in Cisco's website, and Cisco is not, right? They're not a certification company. They do have certifications, yes, but their focus is not on certifications, right? Their focus is on building, amazing networking gear, right? So, because if we go we go look at Comptia's website, Comptia is going to say the same kind of thing, but Comptia's goal is to get you certified, right? So their goal is certification, whereas the reason why I was using the Cisco site today for this particular deal is because I really think, right, Cisco's not in the business of certification, right? They're in the business of building equipment, right? They build equipment, they build software, they do all these other things. And certification is a byproduct of that. But then when they go out and look for why do employers, how do employers value certifications, this is what they've come back with. So something to think about. The other thing I'm going to think, can I put this in the chat? I don't know if I can drop a file in the chat. All right, I put a file in the chat. It's basically this download 13 reasons to get certified. So you're welcome to take that file for your own. But I really think this is a pretty cool document. If you look over here, like all of the reasons why you would get certified, right? Your knowledge, your skill, you're validating yourself, you have credibility, you're showing responsibility, it builds your confidence, it shows, increase your value, increases your versatility. Like there's all these really cool things, right? And they explain each one of them, right? As you go down the list. Right? So I really think, and I've been a proponent of certifications since the early 90s when certifications just started coming out. I didn't have an A+, I had a Net Plus. That was my first one. It was a Network Plus. I got that probably mid 90s, right? So that was my first certification. I got a bunch of older Novell certifications before Novell went away. So I've had certifications and I've used certifications in my career, not only to get jobs, to get pay increases, to increase my responsibility. I had to get certifications in order to earn contracts from government entities. There's all kinds of reasons why you would get certifications, but I really think, right, this one here, this document here focuses on why you as an individual should consider them, right? Why they're important, especially in our fields, okay? I think the number one reason why they're important is this one right here, right? Beyond the self-confidence, beyond the, those things that are personal, 99% of organizations use them in the hiring decision. So if you even want to be considered for a lot of positions, you have to have these certifications. All right. So that's Cisco. I want to go back. I did I don't think I put this out there, but this is the slide I started with. I'm going to put this link in the chat as well. This is a little quiz that I always find interesting. The results, is IT right for you? This is from Comptia. I don't think, maybe 9 or 10 questions. It's not very long. If you have a chance, take it. What's interesting about this quiz, and you'll see when you take it, is IT, right? And when we talk about IT, we're talking about from like the systems administration position, the networking admin side, the computer support side. IT in general is a service industry. Okay, I don't think a lot of folks coming into the field don't realize, or maybe they do, but they just don't speak it out loud. It's not talked about a lot, but we're in a service industry, right? And our job is to solve puzzles, right? Essentially, is how if you boil it down to its essence, right? We solve, you can say problems, but we solve puzzles every day. It's like, okay, what's missing? What's broken? What piece needs to be moved in order to make this work? What checkbox do I need to add? What software do I need to install? Like, it's always like you're always challenged with what changed, how do I get it, how do I, what piece am I missing, what piece do I need to add? So it's always from that, everything we do is kind of a puzzle. I would say even from a programming standpoint, right? If we're programming, if we're building or we need to write a script, right? So what information do I need to gather, right? So we got to figure out that piece, and how do I write that in code? And then once I have that information, how do I format it properly to do what I need to do? And then how do I feed that into the actual line of code that actually does whatever it is I need it to do, right? So from that perspective, right, we're always kind of, I don't know, to me, it's like I kind of consider it kind of puzzle mode. We're always in this kind of figuring things out mode. But if you take the quiz, it's really interesting because it's all about like helping people and solving problems, not really about the computer itself, right? In the end, the computer is a tool, right? It's a tool that we use, and our skills that we're learning here at CNM, as far as working on the CIS degrees, is how do we, first of all, how do we build the tool? How do we put the tool together? How do we manage the tool? How do we maintain the tool? How do we utilize the tool, right? How do we fix? How do we troubleshoot, right? How do we take care of these, the things that are related to the computer, so that we can go out and help other people who don't have that skill set, be able to do their work, complete, achieve their business goals, things like that, using computers. So I've always thought this was a fun little 10, it's like a 5-minute quiz that you take. But when you look at it, when you get done, you realize like there was not a lot of, it's not like technical questions. It's not like, is IT right for you? It doesn't ask you how well you know a computer, right? It knows, it asks you like how do you like working with people? How do you like solving problems, right? Those kind of things. So it's kind of an interesting take on IT, right? And it's, I don't know, when I say interesting take, it's really more like it really kind of puts IT into perspective for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't think it's all about the gear, right? It's not about the gear. So anyways, I like that one. I want to bring that one up real quick, but let's go look at Comptia, right? So Comptia is a globally recognized, right, just like Cisco is, certification company. So they are a company designed for certification. Certifications, I've been involved in the certification process and them putting together tests and things like that. They are always interested in what people need to know in order to show a certain level of skill. So they're always working on from that perspective. Like, it's not a matter of, oh, we just want to create a new cert and we're going to, put it out there and hope people take it and pass it or do whatever, right? They're always looking at if somebody's going to get, let's say, this Comptia A+, which is the core, right, hardware, software certification that exists, right? So we cover this certification as part of 1410 and 1610, right? CIS 1410 and 1610. Those two combined 2 tests is the certification. They go out and they talk to subject matter experts. They talk to employers about what skills do people need to have in order to be be a certain level of skill, a certain level of knowledge, a certain level of understanding when it comes to hardware and software. And they gather 30, 40, 50 people over a 3-month period every 3 years, and they reevaluate the certification so that each of these certifications is updated about every 3 years, and it's kind of raked over by subject matter experts, and they eliminate things that we really don't need to know anymore, and they add new things that have come up in the last 3 years and things that are important and things like that. So these certifications are considered across the world, right? They're considered to be I want to say gold standard, but they are considered to be to me foundational, right? To me, they're foundational. Like these 4 in the green here are the core foundational knowledge that you need to be an IT expert, to me, right? That's my opinion. And what I mean by that, so if I grab this, I'll show you real quick, right? So what I mean by that is if we're kind of looking at our skill set here, and we're going to build this triangle set of skills, right? Across the bottom, we have what I would consider A plus and then net plus, right? Your PC hardware and software, and then your networking skills. And then we're going to layer that with a security plus, right? Which is then the security level. And then from there, right, you can kind of move up the chart here and maybe say, I want to learn some AWS, or maybe I want to get into certified ethical hacking, right? And you would then build your individual skill sets, right? Your interest, right? Your knowledge base, right? Your knowledge base is here. This is your base. And then you would then build your specialty skills on top of that understanding, right? So your basic understanding is A plus, net plus, security plus. And then on top of that, you would build out these other skill sets, right? I don't know, just it's a visual way that I like to represent it. Like I like to talk about it that way because I really truly think, right, if you have these 3 on lock, right, all these other things, they're going to be challenging, but they're going to be a whole lot easier than they would if you didn't have these things. Like, so if you just try to go and pull off a CEH without understanding networking and security, that's going to be a rough ask. Okay. But Comptia A plus is your A plus. That's going to be your hardware software. We cover those again, 1410 and 1610. Comptia Network Plus, right? That's going to be your foundational networking knowledge. What happens, the way our classes are built in our 1410 class, we have 2 chapters that are networking. Okay. And, they're not super in depth, but they are, you get a foundational understanding. And then those 2 chapters become 10 chapters. Actually, I think it's more than that, maybe 12 or so, into an entire semester worth of work, right? So we cover, these topics in 2 chapters, so you get an idea, and then we take those we move those over to Network Plus, and we expand that out to this, full semester's worth of networking knowledge. Okay. And then later on, this at 1415, right? CIS 1415. Security Plus, that's 2670. That's going to happen usually in your 2nd year, usually 3rd or 4th semester of your 4 semester plan. And that's going to take the knowledge that you learned in A plus and Net plus, and we're going to layer on top of that security, right? Authentication and encryption and how to protect your network and how to do, and not really how to do anything, but how security works, right? How security works in the IT world, right? In the computer world. And those 3 foundational, that's the foundation that you want to build upon. And again, these are my opinions. I didn't talk much about the IT fundamentals. IT fundamentals is a lead up to the A plus. I believe that we should replace the digital literacy course that we currently use with an IT fundamentals course for all IT folks, right? It covers hardware, software, networking, database, security, programming. It covers the gamut as far as IT is concerned, right? And it's all kind of digital literacy stuff. So, so this one is kind of a precursor to the A+. Really, the A+, Net+, and Security Plus are the core foundational knowledge that we want you to learn. Okay. Additionally, right, they have come out with other ones. So we have Cloud Plus, Linux Plus, and Server Plus. So our Linux class 1680, it covers about half of what's on the Linux Plus exam. The Linux Plus exam historically has been really a difficult exam to cover, to learn and take, unless you're already doing Linux every day, all day. But if you want to work in a data center, you know, having a strong foundation in Linux is going to be super important. If you want to work in a data center, these three, I think, are the next step that you want to look at doing, right? Cloud Plus, which we cover a lot of the Cloud Plus material in our 2636 class. This is going to cover cloud computing, right? So Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. Those three, we do labs in each of those three in every chapter. We get a good understanding of how VMs work, how networking works in the cloud. You deploy different scenarios throughout the semester. But Cloud Plus, that's going to be, to me, in the IT world, cloud and security are the two really big drivers in our industry right now. Okay, they're both growing leaps and bounds. We saw earlier when I clicked on, you know, I just typed in AWS, and there's 160,000 jobs out there that have AWS in the description somewhere, right? So pretty big deal. But Cloud Plus, we do have a class for that one. So Linux Plus, we do 1680. It doesn't cover everything, right? But it's a possible stretch for you to then take what you've learned in the class and study the things that are missing and work on that one. And then Server Plus, which is it's more about the infrastructure, you know, how server infrastructures work. We do cover some of that, but not a tremendous amount. Like I don't know that we have enough time in the 2 years that we have to do that. If we had, you know, another extra semester, Server Plus, we'd be able to finish covering Server Plus. We cover about half of that in this class. But if you want to get into the data center side of things, right, these three are the core. They're the next step up, right? So you do, and that's going back to this. If we grab this chart again here, right, that would be, if I wanted to grow into the data center side of things, right, we would do cloud, right? We would do Linux, we would do server, right? And that would then grow my skill sets in those areas, right? The data center areas, that would grow my skill sets and increase those opportunities for data center type work. All right. If you're in cybersecurity, and we have a lot of folks in cybersecurity, right? So Comptia does have certifications in security as well. So the CYSA Plus, they have a CASP Plus, and they have a Pen Test Plus. Okay. So, right, you can always think of, right? I don't know why I always look at this thing. I always think of myself, cover your, right? This is a defensive certification, right? This is going to teach you how cybersecurity defense works. So this is firewalls and, you know, and blocking and you know, and maintaining multiple layers of security and things like that. So this certification is focused on defense, whereas pen test is focused on offense, right? So you combine those two together and you have a solid cybersecurity technician, right? Somebody who's capable of doing the work, right? And then the CASP is going to be your security management, right? So it's the one that kind of, I think it sits kind of on top of those other two. So those first two are the skills, right? How to do things. And then this last one is how to manage all of these things, okay? So cybersecurity, there's a whole, you can then, you add that to our, foundational knowledge piece here too. Like if you wanted to move up the scale and you wanted to use Comptia to do that, you don't have to, but you would do CYSA, pen test, and then CASP would be another, right, vertical skill set that you could grow. I know my writing's terrible, it's really small. But that was get the idea, right, from a graphical standpoint. If you wanted to, right, add those skills on, they all, again, and if you look at my chart again, they all base their foundation on these three, right? And understanding these three is the launching point for everything else here. Comptia just came out with a brand new Data Plus, which is a data and analytics certification. I haven't even had a chance to look at it yet. We do have a data analytics program. We have a couple of good classes that we have here as well. So if you're interested in data analytics is starting to become a really big, I said starting, it's been a big deal for probably 4 or 5 years now. It's just getting bigger, right? So the more data that's collected, the more analysis that needs to happen, right? So and every day, more and more data collection devices are being put out there, and being sold and being purchased and being installed. So I think if you are interested in that realm of things, that would be something to consider. And then they do have Project Plus, sorry. So as you get into IT, there may become a point where maybe you don't want to be the frontline person doing this stuff all the time, and maybe you want to be the person in charge. There are some folks out there that are bent that way, and that's usually what I was doing. I was usually the person. I got my skills. I did really good work early on, and then they put me in charge of things. So, so Project Plus is a project management cert that you can look at doing, and that actually will help you grow into like an IT project management role or an IT manager role. If you're a trainer like I am, there's a training certificate, not worried about that. And then the Cloud Essentials, that is a precursor to this Cloud Plus, and it's meant more for like business folks who just want to understand what's going on with the cloud, not really to do anything in the cloud. They just want to understand it, right? So that's the array of Comptia certs, right? We cover A+, Net+, Security+, Cloud+, half of Linux plus, half of Server plus. I'm not 100% familiar with what we're doing in the cybersecurity side of things. I don't think we're using these as the baseline. I think we may be using CEH as more of the baseline. But these are always options for you to take a look at if you're in the cybersecurity realm of things, okay? The next one I want to talk about is EC Council, right? So EC Council, if you look here in the programs, they got a ridiculous amount of stuff going on. But the big one that most people know about EC Council is, I'm not seeing it. There's a certified, all right, here, certified ethical hacker, right? All right, and anybody who doesn't work in the IT field, when you say certified ethical hacker, they look at you like you're crazy. Like, how can you be ethical and be a hacker, right? So, and there's a misconception about what a hacker is, right? So, if you actually look in the original definition of the word hacker, it's basically somebody who gets excited about messing with technology, like playing with technology. It's not anything about breaking into systems and things like that. That was truly defined as a cracker to begin with, right? Which has other connotations, but the idea of this is that hacker is taken on this negative connotation outside of the IT world, right? And even when you say hacker, like it depends on how you say it and in what context. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? So certified ethical hacker is going to be a pen tester, right? It's going to be somebody who has the skills of your stereotypical hacker, right? But they use it in a positive manner. They use it to help protect companies by under contract with written contracts, right? They attempt to break in to companies that have paid them to break into their company in order to find issues with their system, right? We use it to evaluate their system, to find problems, to find issues, to help them plug up holes that they may have in their network, right? But certified ethical hacker is one of those certifications that is always out there on, especially in the cybersecurity world, it's always out there on the edge of everybody's tongue. That's a skill set certification that if you want to be in cybersecurity, that's usually one of the certifications that you would pursue. It looks like they now have this newer one, the CEH Master, right? So then there's actually, so there's actually a practical now. So they have a regular exam, and then you can take a practical where you actually probably go to a lab and have to do things, right? There you go. Duration is a 6-hour practical. You have 20 challenges. Right. So the CEH exam by itself, 125 questions, 4 hours, multiple choice, right? It's one of your typical IT certification exams. The practical, that's not a typical exam. That's 20 challenges. You got 6 hours. And you have to have a 70% to pass it. Okay. So pretty cool stuff. So you can grow your certification skills. And if you look here, it's hard for me to read it, so I know that it's going to be difficult to find or to read these things, but they have certifications. EC Council now has certifications in all of these different areas, right? There's application security, pen testing, network security, fundamental security, cloud security, incident management, incident handling, right? There's lots of really good executive management, CCISO, right? So that's going to be one of those high-end certifications that people go after if they want to be, a CISO at a company. But from a cybersecurity standpoint, right, the CEH is considered to be like the gold standard as far as that initial, certification, technical certification in the cybersecurity world. And EC Council, they also have they have a university, so you can actually work on a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity there if you wanted to. They are actually based here in Albuquerque, EC Council is. And we actually have a CIS student, past CIS student that works there. So that's pretty cool. But that's just another option, right? So those are other options as you want to grow your skill sets beyond what you're doing here at CNM, right? I really think you need to look at CNM is the starting point as far as your IT education is concerned, right? If you're in IT, you're gonna always be learning something new, right? You're always going to be learning something new. There's always new versions of things. There's always new methods, new programming languages, new processes, new frameworks, new, in our case, new hardware, new software, new operating systems. There's always something new coming. So you're always going to be learning something new. I highly advise that once you have those foundational skills, that you look at what's most interesting to you and maybe track down like a certification that fits your desire to learn a particular topic. Like where do you want to take your career, right? Where you want to take your career, right? And with that, there's another one now that I think about it. This is a roadmap. This is a little dated, but it does kind of reiterate one of the points that we made earlier on with Cisco, right? Is that we always have, this beginner, novice, intermediate, advanced, expert, right? So some people call intermediate associate, right? But they have this 4-step process. And then within our world, right? Within our world of IT, there's all these different things that we can do in our world. So it's not all about networking and cloud technologies, which is, right? That's my bias because that's the world that I come from. That's what I made my living doing. I, kind of crossed over into the information security side of the house. I've also crossed over into the hardware services and infrastructure side of the house. I've also done IT management. Okay. For software development, there's actually, there is actually, I didn't realize that, but there is a set of paths here that you could take for development of things. I don't know, again, this is 2 years old, maybe 3 years old now. So some of these may have changed. They may have updated. I know Microsoft, like I know if we see MCSE up here, that's gone at this point. Microsoft took away the MCSE and did most of their stuff into the cloud. So, and I know they've always had some kind of developer certifications. I just haven't really pursued them because that's not the world that I live in. But what this is telling us is that you can kind of look at each of these levels and kind of look, you know, depending on what it is you want to do, you know, is information security your thing, or is hardware your thing? Is management your thing? Is networking your thing? So, you know, networking and cloud has always been my thing, right? So I look here and go, okay, well, there's the A plus, right? You know, there's a cloud essentials, that ITF, they're all kind of considered basic, beginner, novice type certifications. And then network plus, cloud plus, Linux plus, right? Those are all considered this. There should be security plus somewhere. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing that one. They don't have it here. They have it. Oh, they have it on the information security side. So it's also that intermediate, that associate level, right? So, right, network plus, security plus, server plus. Okay, if you're in the Cisco world, there's your CCNA is here at the intermediate level. You can also see that there's a ton of other certifications that are out there that we're not even going to be able to scratch the surface on this today. But the idea that I want to try to get across is that, right, we're working on, you know, these beginner and intermediate level certifications here at CNM. And if you know, the goal and the hope is that you take these classes that we have and you take the exam that's part of the class and you pass the exam, you have those on your certificate, on your resume, you have those certs on your resume, you have a degree on your resume, and you can use that and parlay that into that, you know, 99% of people, or 99% of employers use certification to hire folks, right? So with a certification or two on your resume gets higher in the stack, right? Closer to the top of the stack of people that they want to talk to, right? So always think of it from one of the things that you want to think about from that perspective is, right, first of all, the certifications are going to raise your resume up the stack so that you're closer to the top. The closer you are to the top, the more likely are you're going to get an interview, right? And then at the interview, it's up to you to convince them that you're the right person for the job, right? Just because you have a cert doesn't mean you're going to get the job. It just means that you're going to be higher in the stack, and the closer you are to the top, the more likely are you going to get an interview or an opportunity to actually get the job. And then once you have that established, right? Once you have, I've got the cert, I went out, I got a job because I had the cert, right? I'm working in the IT field, and then you evaluate where you're at, right, at your company. What can what kind of advancement opportunities are there available at the company? Are there advancement opportunities available at the company? If there's not, like, you can start pursuing, right? What kind of skill set do I like? What do I like doing when as you do things? I really like, messing with the security side of things, or really like building these networks, whatever the case may be. And the goal would be to find something in the next level, a certification in the next level that you could then investigate, pursue, take a class, find some YouTube videos, read a book, whatever the case may be, to work yourself into that next certification. Okay. And the goal of that, right? The goal is always looking at what's next, right? Is preparing yourself for the opportunity for advancement, right? So if you're working on the help desk and there are positions available in the system administration side of the house, right? And maybe they're using AWS, then it would behoove you to get an AWS certification, right? So that when the job becomes available for you to move into, that you have the cert, right? Again, that raises your resume to the top of the stack, right? That's the goal here, is to keep your resume at the top of the stack whenever you want to try to pursue an opportunity for growth, for better pay, for better position, more prestige, whatever it is that you're pursuing, is to work yourself that direction, right? So going back to this this idea that if I have these foundational pieces, at whatever point, right, I need to pick up AWS, right? I'm going to pick up AWS so that I move myself forward, right, to that next position. Okay. In the IT field, it is common for us to move. I'm not saying you should, but it's common, right? I know in my first 6 years of my career, I moved 4 times because of just this situations that were there, or I had wanted to pursue something more than what I was working on. And I did that with certifications, right? I used certifications to land the next job, right? And then as I was working there, I would continue my certifications, and then I was able to land my next job moving forward. But this chart, right, and all of these things here, right? So like, you know, we're looking at this going, what the heck is this CSSLP? Well, that's part of the, looks like IS, right? So if I come down here to IS, CSSLP, Certified Secure Software Lifecycle Professional, right? I don't see myself being part of a software lifecycle, right? As in my current position, right? For me, I don't see me being there. So that doesn't, that cert wouldn't appeal to me when I'm looking at these certifications, right? CCSK, that's a CA cert. So if I look down here, Cloud Alliance, Certificate of Cloud Security Knowledge. So maybe, right, maybe that's something, because I mean, cloud computing is one of the things that I do. So that may be something that I would then go and research Cloud Security Alliance, see if this is even still a cert, see if they've improved it, and, you know, see what, maybe do some research on Indeed and other job sites. You know, are there people looking for this type of a, you know, this type of a certification, right? And make decisions, again, the idea of making decisions that way, like what skill sets do I need to be better at what I'm doing now and to pursue the next thing I want to pursue, right? And work through that process. This roadmap, I don't think I saved this roadmap, did I? I'm going to, let's drop this in the chat real quick. Like I said, this roadmap is a little dated. However, right down here, you can see all of the different places where you can get certifications, right? So for programmers, there's MongoDB there. Microsoft has, I don't know if they have the MCSD anymore. I'm sure it's been modified into the Azure world of things. But you can kind of start to do some investigations as, you know, beyond these basic these early certs that you're working on here that we've already kind of chosen for you for particular reasons, right? We've chosen the foundational knowledge pieces because, you know, they're foundational. We've chosen Ccna because that is the de facto standard when it comes to networking certifications. We have cloud in there. We've got some Linux in there. We've got, you know, security in there. You know, so we've added in these things that will get you started, get you moving in the right direction, maybe and most likely help you land that first IT position, so that you can then take that and leverage your skills and your abilities to grow your career, move on, you know, move on to the next certification, move on to new things, you know, and make a good solid IT career out of it. I have used certifications to advance my career. You know, so I know that it's possible. I actually got an email I've gotten 2 emails this week from past students that were really excited about the fact that they landed new positions, and a lot of it was based on them getting certifications here at CNM. So pretty good stuff. I'm trying to think, is there any, we have about 5 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions at this point? All right. I do want to point out, so AWS is another one of our, we are an AWS Academy, and AWS is the big player in the cloud computing world, right? So the 3 big ones are AWS, Azure from Microsoft, and Google Cloud Platform. All three of them have their own set of certifications. AWS, right? They've kind of done this kind of stack thing like I like to do, but they've got this cloud practitioner. That's your foundational piece, right? We cover the cloud practitioner certification in the cloud computing class, right? So it's easy to take the class and actually pass this certification before the end of the class. This is just like I want to get my foot in the door. I have a cloud certification. So if you're looking for jobs right out of school and you're showing up with a cloud practitioner certification, the employers know that you have some cloud skills and are, again, going to move you higher up the stack, right? That's my goal, right? I keep talking about that, but like, it's that, programming term is, a computer term, like we want to be on the top of the stack here. The higher we can move up the stack, the better. Okay. Once you have the cloud practitioner, we are starting a new course in the fall that will cover solutions architect associate. So we're going to actually cover this certification in a class. We will have a class for this certification. Cloud solutions architect. It's an associate level at that intermediate level. Okay. After you get done, you can pursue solution architect, which is the professional level, right? Anytime you get into the professional level of any of these certifications, you're looking at 6 figures as far as an income is concerned. It usually takes 5-ish years and lots of study to get to the point where you have the right cert combination with the right skill set combination to hit that level of income. But if you pursue it, you can get there. If you don't pursue certs and you're not pushing yourself, it won't happen as fast, I think, because it'll happen a lot faster with certifications. I promise you. Again, that my opinion. I can't say that 100% it's going to happen that way, but I know that it's happened that way for me. I was able to parlay my certifications into $50,000 in increased pay in the 5-year period back in the 90s, right? So that's right, you can almost double that number nowadays.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I noticed it looks like, because I've been looking at the Microsoft certs, and it looks like they're paralleling the AWS certs almost exactly.
Yep.
Especially on the DevOps side, where you have
right here
2 pathways from SysOps administrator and developer, and that goes into DevOps engineer. What's the SysOps administrator versus developer?
So I think the difference between like this SysOps and the DevOps is they're versed in both sides, right? Both the system side and the developer side, whereas a SysOp is basically a sysadmin who assists developers. He's not really a developer, right? A SysOp is not a developer. A DevOps is a developer who also knows ops, right? Or a SysOps who also knows development. Okay. And I think we do have pathways. We are doing. Is it a class or a program that we're putting together?
Well, I'm developing a class for DevOps.
Right. We're going to do a DevOps class,
which is challenging because it's at that professional level.
Right.
And I think what we're doing currently is in the programming side, we really are kind of targeting that developer side, but those developer certs are more specific towards the cloud development side. So using Azure or using
AWS, Google,
AWS.
They're all designed. All the certs now are, especially AWS, Azure, and Google. They're all designed for like you're going to develop in the cloud. You're going to use the cloud platform for development. They actually have cloud platforms for development. And then the SysOps side of the house is going to bring some of that solutions architects over and work on that. I talked about life cycle earlier, like you're going to add that software development life cycle to a systems administrator's skill set in order to kind of have a person that understands both sides of this divide here. So between system admin and developers. So so that's a whole pursuit, like from a developer side, right? If the developer is interested in kind of the system admin side, then like this path here is the path for the developer, right? They're a skilled programmer, but they're also they become a skilled system administrator, right? And those combined skills become DevOps engineers, which are highly sought after in the world today.
It's a lot of knowledge.
It's a
There's a
lot.
lot.
You have to know a lot of things. Like you're a jack of all trades. Even more so than what I would consider like I consider a solution or a sysadmin is the jack of all trades. Like because you learn a little bit of networking, you learn security, you learn, desktop, like you have to know a lot of stuff to be a sysadmin. And a developer, right? You don't have to, but if you wanted to move into DevOps, now you get to become that jack of all trades. You have to learn about security and learn about lifecycle and learn about deploying VMs and storage. And you have to learn, the developer has to learn
we have to stop being the source of all problems and actually solve them.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's how it works. So yeah, you become, to be DevOps, you become, right, you're a developer and a sysadmin, right? So you can come from either side of the house. Like you can come from the sysadmin and learn development, or you can come from the development side and learn sysadmin.
And I've noticed that Microsoft seemed like they got, they've gotten rid of most of their, I think, developer certifications. And I don't know if that's because they haven't seen them cited a lot in job hiring, or if it's just they just want to focus on the cloud-based. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know, but I'm gonna go with they want to focus on the cloud because they actually, MCSE has been like the de facto server certification forever, and they just threw it away about 2 years ago. They just threw it away.
Well, they changed it to a role-based type of thing.
Yeah, but there isn't anything server anymore.
Yeah.
Like you don't get certified on a server any longer. You get certified in, Azure fundamentals, right? You learn how to launch a server in the cloud, but that's it. You don't learn anything about, right? So I think they have developer, certified Azure developer associate, Dynamics, again, that's Dynamics
365,
Power Platform, Azure IoT, right? It's all Azure based, right? Everything, their certifications are all Azure based. They act like the hardware doesn't exist anymore. So, Azure administrator. Well, it does, but like it's all hidden from everybody. So it's going to be those. Yeah. So again, like you can see, it's all kind of, all based on it's not based on the actual server any longer. So, but there's a huge path within Microsoft Azure that you can grow, and I know that, Sandia National Labs has an Azure private cloud. So having Azure skills and working in the data center out at Sandia, that'd be important to know. I don't know what Facebook is using from a cloud perspective. I think a lot of the stuff is their own stuff. I do know that there's a company here in town called Big Byte. Right, so they're down on Central, right across from the Sunshine Theater, right? Big Byte here, and I've talked with the owner of Big Byte, and she is desperate for people who understand cloud and understand data and understand servers and development and things like that, because everybody who used to work there now works at Facebook. So if you want to. Right, this is an opportunity to look for, work for a local data center, right? It's actually tucked in this little building down on Central. But that's a good place to learn skills, right? And get your abilities moving. So Big Byte, but she desperately needs, cloud folks, developers. She needs all kinds of folks down there. So
I'm guessing Facebook with their new Meta thing is that's going to be a big, it's going to need a lot of data.
Yeah, it's going to eat up a ton of data. So, yes, lots of good stuff. Like we kind of covered a bunch of things, right? And I kind of one of those shotgun things, we throw it up on the wall and you can kind of just digest it, right? Just you don't have to make any decisions today. So that's a good thing, right? And if you're in the sysadmin, network admin, we already have some of these things prescribed for you. Like we've already done them. We already have them ready to go. If at any point, you want to talk with me about your certification path, your career path, those kind of things, I'm more than happy to help you out. I am not the official counselor, right? So I will give you my professional opinion. And it is an opinion. So it's not word of law, and it's not anything that can be guaranteed. But I can tell you from my experiences over the last now 30 years working in the industry, right? I have used certifications to land the jobs that I wanted to get multiple times. It wasn't a one-off thing, is multiple times. I was able to grow my career really fast by pursuing a dedicated line of certifications. At the time, right, it was Novell. So Novell doesn't, their certifications don't exist anymore, but it was also Microsoft. So I had an MCSE at one point, Network Plus. I've had A Plus, Server Plus. I have Server Plus now, Cloud Plus now, Network Plus, Security Plus. I've had an RCDD, which is a cabling certification. And then I had Novell CNA, Novell CNE, Novell Master CNE. So 7 test battery early in my career. And that was before Microsoft implemented TCP/IP in their operating system. So I've been around for that long. so before IP was IP. But yeah, so I was able, again, from my perspective, I've used it to pursue that. As an employer hiring people, I used certifications to eliminate people I didn't want to talk to. If they didn't have a cert or didn't have the right cert that I needed, or the type of cert that showed the skills that I needed for the job that I was trying to fill, I didn't even bother. And I've talked to other peers who hire and fire IT folks all the time, and they, for again, probably 90% of the time, that is the process. If you have the certs, you move up the stack. If you don't have the certs, we may get to you eventually, but we're not going to get to you right away. And we may never get to you because we'll probably hire somebody who has that cert already. Okay. So I know we've gone over a couple minutes, but I hope this was helpful. I hope it was informational. Yeah, we will find a new topic and we'll talk about a new topic next week. But if there's any questions, I can take questions again now. I'll take some more questions now if you have questions. If not, you're welcome to drop off. I'm going to close up all my crazy windows here. And we can go on to the rest of our day.
Yeah, part of the reason for search is I think if you think in terms of how if you're a hiring manager, if you think about the stress that the company has, they just lost a person. Maybe they've moved up the chain, they've moved somewhere else, and now they've been probably spending a little bit of time, and they haven't had somebody. Their team is stressed because they don't have someone in that spot. And now they're bringing someone in, and it's a real hit if that person doesn't move in and get up to speed quickly.
Right.
So that's why they're going to pick that certain person off the top over someone else's. It's like, okay, at least I know they're at least that level.
Right.
And that cuts their stress. And
that's, you hit that nail on the head right there. By having a certain cert, a Network Plus, the employer knows, right? Because it's an industry global standard. The employer knows at what level, a minimum level you are at, right? So they know from that point, I can move them from that point to where I need them to be a whole lot quicker, versus taking a gamble on somebody who doesn't have the cert, because we don't really know, we haven't validated their level of understanding, right? So it's, yeah, definitely one of the reasons why a lot of companies use the certs is like, I need this level of ability. That's the level of ability I can work with to get the job done, right? So they use that, and they set that as the requirement for the job.
Yeah, so as the person being hired, you're under stress because you're hoping to get the job, but they're under stress too. It's good to recognize that. Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you. We'll call this a day. Enjoy, and we will do this again next week.